Taylor Swift is a link builder. There were rumours that she would get engaged. Our client said, let's give them a free wedding venue. And then we got them 50 links. That's digital PR.
Managing multiple clients or large websites? Automate your SEO with Ali AI. Start your free trial now.
Wix Studio, one end-to-end web creation platform for your agency to deliver exceptional work with absolute efficiency.
Hello. So I'm going to talk about our journey at retiring and removing some of our content. We have a lot of content. We've inherited quite a lot of content over the years, and we're trying to get rid of it. I'd like to caveat this whole talk with, we haven't got rid of it. We've still got far too much content and a slightly mad user journey. As web editors and SEO specialists, I think we all know that feeling of an overgrown website. When you go in and there's just too much content, too many pages, you lose sight of what you've got. It becomes hard to manage, and you accrue content debt. You don't know what you've got, what to do with it, where to put it. And that brings some risks. There's a reputational risk of having just general out-of-date information. There's legal risks if you give people the wrong information. And it makes housekeeping just so much more challenging. As well as that, you have duplicate content. Challenges of, we've posted this thing 6 times, now which one is the correct one? Maybe you can figure it out, maybe not. You get keyword cannibalization of your old content outranking your new content. Why didn't we get rid of it? Why didn't we redirect it? We should have just sorted that out. And all this leads to is a really poor user experience where you just can't find the thing you want. Your users come and they stumble around and you leave them to just figure it out. Here's loads of content, you do the work and work out what you need. But how do we get here? So the university it's an 800-year-old organisation. It's a confederation of schools, faculties, departments, colleges, academics, research centres, research projects, subsidiary companies. There's an endless web of different things. The governance is absolutely mad. There is no real clear governance, no authority over anything in particular, and everyone's trying to do their own thing. We're sort of moving in the same direction some of the time, but not always. So we're seen as the University of Cambridge. We're really not that. We are a large number of small institutions that are all just doing interesting things. As well as that, we collect literally everything. I think we have 37 libraries in total. We have 9 museums. All of our departments keep hold of everything. This is Cambridge University Library. It was built in 1936, I think. Neville Chamberlain described the beautiful tower as a magnificent erection. And they've been putting things in there for a long time. So it's a legal deposit library. It gets a copy of every book printed in the UK. And they've been turning up since the 1930s and getting put in there. It's rumoured to contain all the Victorian pornography. That's definitely a rumour, it doesn't. But there are 17 floors of 200,000 items in there. So they start at the top and they just put them on the shelf as they came in chronological order. And they've filled the tower up. Importantly, they're unique items. So that's 200,000 things, but there's one of each. And also there's some trained people, archivists, librarians who catalogue it. They work out the metadata, they help you find what you want. It's a collection, it's not just dumped in there. We've also been building websites for a long time. The computer laboratory in 1991 had a shared filter coffee pot. This is the highest resolution picture I could find of it. And it was a tedious thing if you got up from your desk and you had to find the room with the coffee in, and if you got there and there was no coffee, it was inefficient, it was a wasted journey. So on their local network, they set up a camera, and you could check in advance before you bothered getting out of your desk to go and see if there was coffee or not. In 1993, the browser gained the amazing ability to show images. So they put it on the World Wide Web, and it was the first webcam ever for the world. But importantly, it had a life cycle, the content life cycle for this website in particular. It started in 1993. At some point, the coffee pot ran out of value, and in 2001, they turned off that website. So it only lasted for 8 years, and spawned other people running webcams with coffee pots on. At least we got rid of it. Our current web estate is huge. and it seems to just keep on growing. In 2008, we had 500 websites. This is number of websites as opposed to number of pages on a website. That nearly doubled by 2013. Our current count is around 2,000 websites as an organization. These are all on different subdomains. That works out as 2 new websites every week since 2008. And I don't think that's going to be helping our users. It's pretty unreasonable. The basics of our tech SEO, my colleagues would dispute this probably, but our websites are locally optimized. We do a bit locally. Our websites, like a good book, they have a front cover, they have pages and page numbers, they're in a logical order-ish, there's a bit of structure. They're a bit baggy on the structure thing. The site architecture locally is idiosyncratic. Like, people have some sort of idea of optimizing it. But when you multiply that up to our content distributed over 2,000 websites, I think we have approximately 2.7 million web pages in that realm. We have a few duplicate bits. We have people trying with their best intentions to help you. But when you have that much content, inevitably you're going to be out of date, out of control. Rather than a nice neat bookshelf of things that you can pick one off and get what you want, we end up with this whirlpool of just absolute doom. How do we get here? We have a few people that can edit our websites. At the last count, it was 1,300. That's on our core websites. I don't think we've tracked down all of them yet. And they're having a lovely time. They're uploading content. It's great. Some are getting creative. Some are producing new fancy things that may or may not work. Others, you probably can't see them, but there's 2 little girls down here who are they're glad to be there. They're just having a lovely time. They don't know what they're doing. We have administrative people in charge of websites who get handed content and told, put that online. So they put that online. And no one ever says, do we want to do that? Is that good? Is that helping anyone? So it's a big problem. It's a growing problem. We've been trying to introduce the concept of search engine optimization, the idea that we want to make it easier for search engines to find and understand our content. We want them to index and crawl us. We're lucky in that we're a university. We've been around for 800 years, so we have good domain authority somehow. We rank despite all of our efforts to not rank. And although it's tech SEO, actually I think we want to make it easier for our users. And inadvertently, in this case, our site architecture will improve and we'll make it easier for search engines. So when we're trying to find where the content is, you want to go in this big magnificent door with all the nice flowers around it. You don't want to go through the back door and find a bloke called Dave who might be able to tell you the answer. You want it to be obvious where to go for users, for search engines. A quick example. If I want to study English at Cambridge next year, so 2025, and I want to find out how much it will cost to do that, this was the journey I went on. I started at our homepage. I went to our undergraduate website, found out about the course. The course information did not tell me how much it cost. I found a page on tuition fees which told me this year how much it will cost, but term started 3 days ago, so that's not an option now. And it also said the government hasn't told us how much it will cost yet. Don't think the government sets our fees. We had a fee status website which helped me work out if I was a home student or an overseas student, but didn't tell me how much it cost. We don't tell international students in advance, even though you might have to plan slightly further ahead to work out if you want to study here. The Faculty of English will tell you what a lovely degree it is, but not how much it costs. If you look at a college website, we have 31 of them, and they will all tell you how great English is and how great it is to live in the college, but not how much it costs. And it was only the next day when I had another go at it that I found the Academic and Financial Planning and Analysis website. It's not the intuitive place to look, but there I managed to find a schedule of fees, and it actually told me the 2025 fees. So they do exist. You just have to go through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 websites at a minimum. And then a colleague pointed out that actually they're first published in a different website entirely, so there's another website in there somewhere as well. I think it's that. If the government changes their cap, then we might change our minds, but almost certainly as an organisation, we have to know how much we're charging students next year. No business can function. And I know we're an educational charity effectively, but we're still a business. We still have to know how to operate. That was tricky as a user. Unsurprisingly, Google got it massively wrong when I searched for it. So when I searched for the cost, it gave me an extract from a PDF from last year for 2018 starting, using the word matriculated, which no one outside of Cambridge is ever going to know what that means. And it gave me the wrong number of 9,387. That's actually the cost if you're doing your second undergraduate degree and you're living at Magdalen College. It's a very niche number, but Google decided that was the best answer because we didn't make it easy for it. So where are we starting? The basics. We're trying to prioritize our content and our websites, and we're trying to just reduce them. So step one, we're scurrying around looking for the website owners. 2 years ago, we did not have a list of websites or a list of who owned them, who managed them, who signed off on any of it. So we've been doing some detective work and finding that. That's how I could give you that 1,300 plus number. And then we're bringing them together. I had some nice feedback earlier from one of my colleagues who said, we've got a community now, we've got a community of practice. I was on my own before. Now I found that actually there's quite a few of us. We can share best practice. We've got some experts in content design. We can set a bit of leadership and we can start moving in the right direction rather than just keep putting things on the internet and seeing what happens. So we've been getting some data. I've been putting Google Analytics 4 on everything I can get my hands on. And I've been using Google Tag Manager to funnel that data into local properties, but also into one big roll-up property, which means I can get a ranking for about 500 websites in one place of what they're doing, how big they are, how they compare. That's been fun, but it's been useful because now we can actually see the extent of our estate. Something I managed this year is getting our jobs website actually running any analytics. That's our fourth biggest website, and it was not running any analytics, and it hasn't been updated in years. And for some reason, no one is running around screaming. As I said, I'm using Tag Manager. I learned about lookup table variables last year. They're great. So when you set up your Google tag, putting in your measurement ID as a variable is a great idea. When you're trying to funnel your entire 2,000 websites into one GA4 property, the lookup table, you can use that as your tag ID, and it will look up the host name, and it will return the measurement ID for that right one, and it will send data there. So you can shuffle your data around quite nicely. Again, that was something I learned here. Very nice. I think they said don't put all your websites through one tag manager container. I did it anyway. It's working. And then before we can work out what to get rid of, we needed to inventory, audit, crawl everything. We're using Airtable. We've now got a somewhat canonical list of what websites we have, maybe who manages them, what software they're running, some basic stats around whether they're actually 200s or 404s or redirecting somewhere. And we've started to get an idea of auditing of, do we want to keep this website? Does this website need to get merged in? Does it need to be somewhere separate, or do we need to join it together? Or do we need to delete it? Is it worth having at all? Shall we just get rid of it? With all that data, we're trying our best to be ruthless, which is challenging. But if you plot our websites on a graph, so we've got users and views on a log scale, and the size of the bubble is how big the website is. We've got some really important websites. They're getting lots of traffic. They're quite big websites, but they're getting most of our interest. All of the stuff down the bottom left, almost no views, almost no users. I'm fairly sure from about here down, we could probably just delete that and a few people will notice, but not many people are going to notice, and it might just make it easier to find what's left. Something I've encountered along the way is a cognitive bias called the additive bias, where it's really easy to see solutions to add more. Our content's really hard to navigate. Maybe we should add an FAQ that answers all those questions that people are trying to answer. Or maybe we could fix the content, but an example is learning to ride a bike is something that is quite challenging when you're a child. And for a long time, the inelegant solution of stick some stabilizers on the back has been the only option. People thought, it's wobbly, and they're learning to pedal, put some stabilizers on, they'll find it easier. But actually taking something away is usually a better solution. It's hard to see it. So we took the pedals away. You've got a balance bike. Children can go at some really good speeds in this competitions. They're really good at riding bikes without pedals. And it's much, much better looking. It feels like a better solution than bolting stabilizers on. So getting rid of content, I think, is a solution that people don't always consider. Something that helps along the way with people is just archive things. It makes it less scary. Don't question it too much. Things like the Wayback Machine, you can chuck a page in there and it will keep a copy. And that satisfies people's worry about losing their content that they've built. We're lucky in that we're a legal deposit library. We've got a connection to the UK Web Archive. Our entire domain is annually crawled, and if not slightly more than that. So generally our content is there, so if I delete it, it's probably a copy still somewhere, even if I haven't made sure. And then it's important to actually get rid of content to set really clear criteria from the start. Decision making becomes a lot easier. For our news content I've been looking at, if we're getting less than a view per day, in my mind I don't think that's worth keeping. We've got a lot of content. Very low numbers don't seem worthwhile. And I have the rot approach in my head as my background, thinking of if the content is redundant, obsolete or trivial, we should just get rid of it. We just don't need it. It's not helpful. Here is a snippet from a news story on our website currently. It's obsolete. It's out of date. It was published in 1999. Opening line is, as the millennium approaches, come and see our new exhibition. I don't think this is helping anyone because they can't go to this exhibition anymore. It's fairly redundant content because there is a collection at the museum that you could go and look at on their website. Maybe we should send people there instead of distracting them with a non-event. And in the last 12 months, one person's looked at it. So in terms of value, we're not really getting anything from that. It's an easy option, just delete that, go. No one's going to worry about it. So for news content, I'm looking at if it was over 10 years old and it's not redundant, if it's redundant, obsolete and trivial, I'm getting rid of it. And otherwise, maybe I'll review it to update it. Maybe. I've got a little bit of time. Some of the things I've used, if you're trying to do this sort of criteria and you didn't get the publish date in your GA4 or your analytics, there's a few ways you can compile data together. Google Sheets have this really nice formula which will effectively run as like a mini crawler for you. You can use this formula to go to a URL and it will pick up things like metadata or something from the page. So you can use that on a medium amount of URLs before you hit a quota. So I could stick in loads of news articles and it will bring back the publish date for them, so I can start to look at old stories and new stories like that. We use Screaming Frog. That has something similar. If you pay for it, then you can do custom extraction. So it's the same idea. You can say, when you crawl the website, also pick up these data points I forgot to collect in the past. And you can also add GA4 via the API there, so you can kind of smush those things together in a fairly simple way. And then it will output your dates or whatever information you want within there. I found filtering quite hard, so I tend to export my data to Excel or something like that, and then start to color code things, conditional format, just to help unpick what do I want to keep, what do I want to get rid of. And then I'm doing this to take out easy targets. I'm not worrying about the things that are challenging. I'm just looking for the low-hanging fruit that I can get rid of at high speed, because it will be easier to unpick the remaining 2 million pages if I can get rid of 0.7 million, that seems ambitious enough. Where possible, redirect users to newer things. If there's something interesting, point them that way. I think a 410 or a 404 is not the end of the world. If that content truly is, as the millennium approaches, dead, then I think it's okay just to get rid of it and not worry about redirecting, but where possible, redirect. How successful we've been so far? In May, Search Console said we had 2.89 million pages. Last week it said we had 4.32 million pages indexed. So something's not quite right. This week it said we had 3.69 million pages. Google's clearly still struggling to work out what's going on with our websites. So there's still a lot of work to do there. A lot of improvement that can happen. But at least we're on the journey to working towards that. Going forwards, it would be really nice to have any kind of strategy for our URLs or domains. So when we hand out new sites at 2 a week, maybe we should step back and rethink how we're doing that. Maybe we should reconsider what we've done in terms of our site structure across 2,000 sites. That said, we're just going to get fixing stuff. Let's go do the housekeeping.
Monthly reporting making you want to shove sharp things up your nose? Try Dragon Metrics, the all-in-one SEO software with mind-blowing reporting tools.